The incompetence finally leaves. Ha! Mike, who settled in as the acting CEO, mocks me. His entourage of employees also look down on me, smirking. If I leave, all of the CEO's favorites will be fired. Mike's sister, the executive vice president Alice, bites her lip in frustration. What are you thinking? If Jack leaves, the company really won't be able to function. Shut up. I'm the acting CEO and you're the EVP. If you can't listen to me, then you should resign too. The CEO's wife, Linda, is completely on Mike's side. If I resign, Mike will take over the company, and I have no power to stop it. Watching this family-run business's internal strife is painfully distressing. I might as well resign. Thank you for everything up till now. I hum my head deeply. As I raise my head, I see that Mike, Linda, and the other employees have turned pale. Turning around, I am astonished. My name is Jack. I'm a 32-year-old salesman, working for a mid-sized design company, Harrison Design. Our company is family-run, with the upper management having the last name Harrison. The CEO is Mr. Harrison, the executive vice president is his son Mike, and the managing director is his daughter Alice. The CEO's wife, Linda, doesn't hold an official position, but she often comes to the office to complain about the employees. I've heard that family-run businesses often turn into tough workplaces. Indeed, Linda, who wanders around the office without doing any work, can be annoying at times. However, as long as I ignore Linda's complaints, it's a pretty good place to work. The primary reason is that Mr. Harrison, the CEO, is a very respectable person. He never throws his CEO status around and always considers the employees' opinions. That's why our company has a good atmosphere. The employees work comfortably without harboring any grievances. Mr. Harrison's children joined the company's leadership about 5 years ago. His eldest daughter Alice is a year older than his son Mike, but Alice is just the managing director, and Mike is the executive vice president. Alice doesn't really complain about this. Alice, a graduate from a renowned university in a major city, is extremely capable and never brags about it. She puts the employees' comfort first, making her the type of female supervisor you'd willingly follow. On the other hand, Mike, who became the executive vice president, is somewhat problematic. Before joining his father's company, Mike traveled the world as a backpacker, while Alice gained experience in another design office. There's nothing wrong with world travel. But Mike seems unable to shake off his student mentality and doesn't like hearing anything unpleasant. Perhaps our company still clings to a male-dominated society, given Mike's promotion despite being younger. Linda's influence is a major factor in Mike's usefulness. She dotes on Mike and seems to indulge all his whims. Yet, as the son of the respectable Mr. Harrison, Mike will probably change as he gains experience. I thought I was still young, but it's been 10 years since I graduated college. During that time, I've worked solely for Harrison Design. As more young people join, I feel my age. I try my best not to become an unpleasant supervisor. Additionally, I have a unique connection with Mr. Harrison. He enjoys playing chess, but few people in the office can match him. While there are people who play pool and checkers, I'm one of the few who can play chess. So we often play in his office during lunch breaks or after work. We don't hold back, and our win rates are about even. Well, I lost today. Maybe I'm getting old, says Mr. Harrison. What are you talking about, Mr. Harrison? We still need you to keep going strong. Mr. Harrison, having turned 60 the other day, started to worry about his age. From my perspective, he's still plenty young, vibrant, and the perfect example of a 60-year-old professional. It seems his concern about his age partly comes from the fact that his son Mike is still not capable enough to be left in charge with confidence. Leaving with a loss feels unsatisfying. How about it, Jack? One more game. Sure, but I won't go easy on you. Mr. Harrison laughs heartily, and we begin setting up the chess pieces again. Then, one day, something happened. A female employee rushes out of the CEO's office in a panic. "Somebody call an ambulance." Mr. Harrison collapsed right after he said he's having chest pains. As we employees head towards the CEO's office, we find the door open, and several employees have already crowded inside. I hear the loud voices of Mike and Alice. "Dad, hang in there. I'm loosening your tie now. Dad, you'll be okay. Just don't move. The ambulance is on its way." The paramedics arrived quickly and took Mr. Harrison away on a stretcher. Accompanying him were the executive vice president, Mike, and the managing director, Alice. Linda was at home and was informed, said she would head straight to the hospital. Meanwhile, us at the office couldn't focus on work, anxiously waiting for news from Mike and Alice. Soon, Alice called the company. "Dad's completely unconscious now. He's in a critical condition with arrhythmia and high fever," she said. From that day, a wave of unease spread throughout the office. While we tried to keep working, everyone was whispering about the future of Harrison Design. If Mr. Harrison doesn't make it, will we all lose our jobs? No, the executive vice president and managing director are still here. One of them will take over. But one of them was a significant issue. I thought things might work out if Alice became the CEO, but I was only anxious about the future if Mike took the position. There were several family meetings at the Harrison household. Ultimately, my worst fears were confirmed. Mike, as the eldest son, was appointed the acting CEO. This is what I think is the downside of family-run businesses. But it's not like the employees could vote for an acting CEO. The next day, Mike arrived at the office, taking on his new role with confidence. During the morning assembly, Alice, the managing director, announced it to all the employees. "Mr. Harrison is still unconscious. Harrison Design is facing its biggest crisis since its founding. Let's rally behind the acting CEO and get through this crisis together." As I listened to Alice's words, I find myself lost in thought. Is this really okay for Alice? Is she truly satisfied with this? "A few words, please, acting CEO." I know everyone is anxious at a time like this, but I need you to trust me and give it your all. If we all work hard, surely my father's condition will improve. One of Mike's supporters starts clapping. Soon, other employees join in with the applause. I join in while intently watching Alice. Alice, trying not to reveal her true feelings, joins the applause with a cold smile. An employee standing next to me mutters softly, "What's going to happen now? I'm really worried." It seems I'm not the only one feeling anxious. A few days have passed since Mike became the acting CEO, and its effect is already apparent. Mike has begun implementing major layoffs. It's been 5 years since Mike joined Harrison Design, and there are quite a few employees who are dissatisfied with him. Unfortunately, I am one of them. It appears he wants to get rid of anyone he considers a nuisance. For now, let me explain what's happened so far. Before the layoffs started, Linda had begun frequenting the CEO's office. I don't know what they were discussing, but it didn't seem like good news for us employees. "Hey, someone take somebody to the CEO's office and check out the situation." A female employee made tea and knocked on the door of the CEO's office. We all held our breath, listening to the sound. But unfortunately, hardly any voices leaked out. We waited for the female employee who delivered the tea to return. Soon, she came back running. "It looks like layoffs are definitely happening. Anyone who doesn't align with the acting CEO's views is out. That means those who oppose the executive vice president. No, the acting CEO in the past are definitely targets. What should we do? I've been pretty outspoken." If that's the case, I'm in a similar boat. Ever since Mike and Alice joined the company, it was clear who sided with the EVP and who with the MD. I was firmly anti-EVP, meaning I supported Alice. Then two of Mike's supporters from the CEO's office walked in, and we all fell silent. "What's this, a funeral? It's so quiet here. We need to support Harrison Design under the acting CEO now." "Well, who knows how many of you will remain? Just you wait and see." The two supporters exchanged glances and burst into loud laughter. It seemed their future was secure. And so, from the next day, one by one, people were let go. First, it was those who openly opposed Mike's methods. Then, those who had never voiced opposition but sided with Alice when issues arose. Alice became increasingly isolated. It seems Mike drove Alice out of Harrison Design. Despite being siblings with just a year's age difference and sharing the same parents' blood, why couldn't they get along? Eventually, I was the only one left supporting Alice. Alice bit her lip in frustration. "My mother always favored Mike. I've always been the one to oppose her, so I guess I'm not the favorite," Alice said. "Is the acting CEO, Mike, regularly visiting Mr. Harrison at the hospital?" Alice shook her head weakly. "He's left it all to the hospital. He seems to think there's no hope for a recovery. Mike is going to take over Harrison Design for good." "Alice, are you visiting Mr. Harrison in the hospital? How is his condition?" "There's been a significant change, actually. A good one. But Mike's actions have been so swift, I'm not sure if it's going to be in time." The fact that she mentioned in time suggests there might still be a chance for Mr. Harrison's return to the company. I felt a glimmer of hope in the darkness. "Alice, next time you visit Mr. Harrison, please take me with you. I might not be able to make much difference, but I want to help in any way I can for his recovery." "Thank you. I haven't been to visit in the last few days. Let's go right after work today." Just then, one of Mike's supporters approached and directed me to the CEO's office. Alice's face tensed up. It looked like my time had come to be let go. I bowed deeply to Alice. "It's finally time. It's hard to leave you behind, but I guess I have to face him now," I said. "I'm coming with you. I can't stand this outrage," Alice declared. We both entered the CEO's office. Mike sat in a high-back luxury chair, one of his supporters standing to his right, and Linda, looking pleased, stood further to the side. The supporter, who had let me in, quickly positioned himself to Mike's left. "Jack, you're also fired as of today, but you've dedicated 10 years to the company, so we'll call it early retirement. You'll get a decent severance package, so don't worry," Mike announced. There was no point in making a scene. I quietly nodded, understood. Mike mockingly laughed at me. "Glad the incompetent is finally gone." His supporters looked down on me, smirking. Alice bit her lip in frustration but quickly retaliated. "What are you thinking? If Jack leaves, the company really won't be able to function." "Shut up. I'm the acting CEO, and you're the MD. If you can follow my orders, then you should resign too," Mike snapped. Then Linda, who had been standing to the side, spoke up. "You're just like a limbless body now, unable to do anything. You're talented, so why not get hired by another company?" "Mom, are you saying I'm unnecessary for this company?" Alice asked. "Oh, you're just realizing that now. This company will be inherited by Mike alone. Don't worry, we'll adequately replace the employees we've lost," Linda said, smugly. Are these the words a mother bestows upon her own daughter, to whom she gave life? Once I leave, Mike's takeover will be complete, but I never had the power to stop it in the first place. Watching this family-run business split from the inside is heart-wrenching. I feel sorry for Alice, but I'm exhausted too. Maybe it's better to just resign. "Mike, Alice, Linda, I truly appreciate everything you've done for me," I said. I hung my head deeply. As I raised my head, I saw the pale faces of Mike, Linda, and their supporters. Turning around, I was astonished. There was Mr. Harrison in a wheelchair. A nurse, dressed in plain clothes, was pushing the wheelchair. The doctor gave me permission to come out for an hour, Mr. Harrison said. Though he looked a bit thinner, Mr. Harrison's eyes were sharp, and he radiated energy. Linda staggered toward Mr. Harrison. When did you recover enough to use a wheelchair? Linda exclaimed. You and Mike never visited, so you wouldn't know, but my condition has been improving day by day, Mr. Harrison replied. Oh, that's good. I've been worried all this time, Linda said. Mr. Harrison snorted and looked away from Linda, turning instead to Mike. I see you've done quite as you pleased in my absence. Remember, you're only the acting CEO, not the CEO. Initially, Mike seemed unable to grasp the situation, but as Mr. Harrison spoke with firm authority, Mike began to tremble. I was just thinking of the company's best interests. I thought you were done for, Mike stammered. You underestimated me. I'm not one to be incapacitated by something like this. My pulse has stabilized, and my fever has gone down, Mr. Harrison asserted. That's great. I've been so worried, Mike replied, trying to sound sincere. Mr. Harrison glared at Mike. Don't say things you don't mean, but fine. It's probably your mother's influence anyway. It's a misunderstanding, dear. I would never put such ideas in Mike's head, Linda protested. I've known you long enough to know better. Anyway, Alice, I'm feeling a bit tired. Could you call an assisted taxi to take me back to the hospital? Mr. Harrison requested. Of course, Dad. I'll have you give orders from your hospital room. I'll be your hands and feet, Alice responded. Thanks to the incredible commotion, my early retirement was called off. Mr. Harrison's recovery has been remarkable. He's been working hard on rehabilitation to rebuild the muscles that weakened during his hospital stay. Gradually, he started to walk on his own again. I began visiting the hospital room daily with Alice, and each time we saw him, he seemed more energetic. However, it looked like a full recovery would still take some more time. So, Alice brought a computer into Mr. Harrison's hospital room to make it easier for him to work. With Alice's assistance and me helping her, he could manage his CEO duties for telework from the hospital room. Despite being 60, Mr. Harrison is quite familiar with computers, so he was pleased to be able to work from his hospital room. He opened his laptop and turned on the power. Well then, what should we tackle first? First, let's restore Harrison Design to its original state. What Alice displayed on the computer screen was a list of employees who had been fired. It might seem too good to be true to fire them on our own accord and then ask them to come back, but we can't operate without them. I'm prepared to apologize to each of them personally, she said. That's right. I'll join you in apologizing. None of this would have happened if I hadn't fallen ill in the first place, Mr. Harrison agreed. Following Mr. Harrison's instructions, the fired employees were brought back. We all rejoiced at being reunited with smiles. I'm relieved to be reinstated. I was worried about my remaining mortgage, one employee said. That's good to hear. Let's continue to support Mr. Harrison, another added. With this, 90% of the original staff was restored. Unfortunately, we couldn't say it was 100% back to the old company. Now, we just needed to post job openings and bring in new talent. A fresh breeze would surely help the company grow even more. Eventually, Mr. Harrison was discharged and began attending work in a wheelchair. Getting sick is no joke. If you let your guard down, your son might just take over the company, he joked. That's right, Dad. We still need you to be strong, Alice agreed. Mr. Harrison and Alice had a genuinely good relationship, full of mutual trust. Unbeknownst to us, the Harrison family had split into two factions, Mr. Harrison and Alice, and Linda and Mike, sadly opposing each other. Linda must have loved Mr. Harrison to have married him. Maybe love between a man and a woman doesn't last forever. As an unmarried man, I had no right to comment, but with most of the employees back, it was time for retribution against those who had betrayed Mr. Harrison. First, both of Mike's supporters were fired. Those two being around made Mike overestimate himself, but the real culprit here is Linda. Mr. Harrison reflected. As time passed in their marriage, they both grew increasingly dissatisfied with each other. Gradually, Linda became overly affectionate towards only Mike. Mr. Harrison, worried about Mike's carelessness but also showing his form of love, had appointed him as the executive vice president, a position higher than Alice's, despite her being older. It seems this act of love didn't quite reach Mike's heart. Other employees who sided with Mike were only given severe warnings. Employees are vulnerable. They have to adapt to whoever is in charge. It was a tough decision for them as well. Mr. Harrison understood this and refrained from demotions or dismissals. The main culprits in this situation were undoubtedly Mike and Linda. For Mr. Harrison, they were his son and wife, but they had to be appropriately punished. Firstly, Mike was demoted to a regular employee for manipulating employee fates in Mr. Harrison's absence. This personal decision seemed to have hit Mike hard. Having been appointed executive vice president upon joining the company, and even using the CEO's office in his father's stead, it must have been unbearable for him. Ashamed of being a regular employee, Mike started coming to the office less frequently. For us in management positions, it was actually convenient not to have him around, as it was unclear how to direct him. However, his frequent absences became a concern, so I asked Alice about his home situation. Alice lived alone, but Mike had always lived with their parents. So, he's been shut in his room, with the housekeeper leaving his meals in the hallway outside. It's unbelievable, Alice said. He might have lost his confidence all at once, I remarked. However, Linda, who dotes on Mike, blames the clue-like turmoil on Mr. Harrison's illness. Their marital relationship seemed irreparably damaged. Both Mr. Harrison and Linda, deeply caring for their children, were living together for their sake, even though it was a struggle. Mr. Harrison decided to punish Linda as well, banning her from entering the company. When Linda complained, Mr. Harrison showed her photos and documents gathered by a detective agency. "You've been having an affair all this time. Did you think I knew nothing about it?" he confronted her. The reason Linda frequently visited Harrison Design was because her lover was there. Her lover was a young employee in his 30s, to whom Linda had been generously giving a lot of money. Since Mike became acting CEO, there had even been talks of promoting this man to a managerial position as a special favor. "I had feelings for you after all these years together, but with this incident, even that's gone. The money you squandered was earned through my hard work," Mr. Harrison lamented. Linda desperately made excuses, but Mr. Harrison was not willing to listen. As the CEO's wife, her attempts to privatize the company were a serious offense. Mr. Harrison and Linda ended up getting a late-life divorce. However, Linda's lover quickly submitted his resignation and returned to his hometown. Mike, who adored Linda, vehemently opposed the divorce. "It's unfair to Mom. How is she supposed to live if they divorce now? She should just work or do something. It's normal to work to live. You should try working for a change," Mr. Harrison responded. Eventually, Mr. Harrison fired Mike, who showed no inclination to work at all. Thus, Mike and Linda were both ousted from the house. Normally, a young and able son like Mike would work and support Linda. However, Mike just won't seem to get a job. Having been pampered as the executive vice president and acting CEO, it seems his pride won't allow him to work under someone else. As a result, their finances dwindled. Mother and son, with nowhere else to go, reluctantly returned to Linda's family home in the countryside. However, the house had passed on to Linda's brother and his wife. Knowing their plight, they couldn't turn them away. They were given a small room and lived there in constrained circumstances. As for those of us who remained at Harrison Design, Mr. Harrison fully recovered and no longer needed a wheelchair. Though he used a cane just to be safe, but he walked firmly on his own feet. With the CEO's full return, the company regained its normalcy. I was promoted to head of the sales department in the next personnel change. The responsibility was greater, but Mr. Harrison trusted me. In the support of my subordinates, I found my work fulfilling. Ellis became the executive vice president, serving as an excellent confidant and advisor to Mr. Harrison. I should have appointed Alice as the executive vice president from the beginning. Then, this clue-like incident would never have happened. Mr. Harrison said, "I understand you wanted to give Mike a chance, Dad, but it's good we realized early on that he wasn't capable," replied Alice. "They say the more troublesome a child is, the dearer they are. Mike was a perfect example of that." Mr. Harrison deeply regretted appointing Mike, who lacked ability, to the executive vice president position out of paternal affection. Thus, Harrison Design managed to recover from a significant crisis. The company's performance improved, and employee wages increased. We, the employees, are now more motivated than ever to rally under Mr. Harrison's leadership and build up the company. That day, during lunch break, I was Mr. Harrison's chess partner in his office. Just like before the hospital incident, our skills were evenly matched, leading to wins and losses for both of us. Mr. Harrison seems to enjoy this aspect of the game. Like in business golf, it's no fun if you go easy on me. That's true. I completely understand. Mr. Harrison became silent for a while. Just when I thought he was focusing on the chessboard, he said something unexpected. "Jack, aren't you going to get married? You're at a good age for it." I'm a bit embarrassed to say, but I've been so caught up in work that I haven't had a girlfriend. But you're right, I should start thinking about that aspect of my life. I might not have much credibility in giving marriage advice, considering how mine turned out, but maybe it's time you thought about settling down. Maybe I should start attending mixers then. Just then, Alice entered the room with a knock. "Oh, playing chess again. You two always get along so well." "The only one who plays with me is Jack." Alice casually took a seat next to me, watching our match with interest. "Jack, teach me chess too. I want to study and beat Dad someday." "That's a great idea. Playing against me all the time must be boring for Mr. Harrison." Mr. Harrison looked back and forth between me and Alice, grinning. "How about it? Shall the three of us go out for sushi tonight?" "That sounds lovely. Jack, are you free?" "I don't mind at all. I'd be happy to join." Lately, it seems we're spending more time together like this. For me, it's the most comfortable and pleasant relationship. I was just telling Jack it's about time he thought about getting married. Alice, the same goes for you. Don't stay single forever. I want to see my grandchildren. Well, I do feel a bit rushed thinking about childbirth, but I don't have anyone in mind. Maybe I should go to mixers. Alice saying the same thing made me laugh. I was just saying the same thing. "Alice, shall we go to a mixer together next time?" "Oh, that would be nice. Make sure there are some handsome guys. Maybe it would be quicker if you two got married." Alice and I exchanged glances and laughed. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't thought about her in that way. But I felt I still lacked the credentials to ask her out. Looking at Alice beside me, she seemed to blush with embarrassment. I vaguely thought about asking her out for drinks, just the two of us. "Keith, how's it going with Thompson Foods?" "Oh, Shane, it's almost there. I'll wrap it up today for sure." "Got a meeting now?" "Yeah, I've got an appointment at 2 p.m., so I'm heading out now. Then I'll come along. But I'm in charge of Thompson Foods, and the negotiations are going well. It's fine, it's fine. My name is Keith. I've been in sales for 4 years at a company that manufactures kitchen equipment. Thompson Foods, a major player in the food industry, is a contract I've been trying to secure for the past month. My boss Shane, who couldn't even get an appointment with Thompson a year ago and dumped the whole thing on me, now seems to want to step back in when the contract is almost in hand. But I can't really say no to Shane, my boss, so we both end up going to negotiate with Thompson Foods. After giving our company name and name at the reception on the ground floor, we were taken to the production control department on the 7th floor. Kevin, thanks for taking the time for this meeting despite your busy schedule. As I greeted Kevin, the head of manufacturing management at Thompson Foods, he seemed a bit more flustered than usual. I've been waiting for you, Keith. I have a request today. Our president, Mr. Thompson, also wants to join today's meeting. Is that all right? Yes, I understand. Hearing that Mr. Thompson would personally attend the meeting, my heart started racing. The door opened slowly, and Mr. Thompson entered. As I greeted him nervously, Mr. Thompson turned to me and smiled. So, you're Keith. I've heard you managed to persuade our big demon. Big demon. Haha, that's Kevin's nickname. We get salespeople from various companies, but if we were to have meetings with all of them, there wouldn't be enough time in the day. I see. So, we've decided to only have meetings with companies that Kevin approves of. It must have been tough getting this far. Mr. Thompson said this with a smile, while Kevin, looking rather stern, seemed to crack a smile for a moment. You've got a strong and good junior on your team. Kevin said this to Shane. And so, the meeting began, including Mr. Thompson, and we successfully secured a new contract for kitchen equipment. As I stood up, relieved, Mr. Thompson made an invitation. Next month, on the second Sunday, my youngest daughter turns 20. We're planning a birthday party, and if it's convenient for you, would you like to come? A birthday party for your daughter. Attending the birthday party of a president's daughter I've never met seemed out of place for ordinary employees like us. As I was thinking of declining, of course, absolutely, both of us will be delighted to attend, Shane had replied without consulting me. Mr. Thompson was overjoyed, and there was no room for me to decline. Shane, why did you say we'd attend? A birthday party for a president's daughter we've never met? Aren't we out of our depth? After leaving Thompson Foods headquarters, I complained to Shane, don't be silly. If we bring a timely gift to the party and get his daughter to like us, it could be a real stroke of luck. Shane just grinned smugly. I was internally dumbfounded, thinking such a thing was impossible, but I couldn't say anything. A few days later, an actual invitation to the daughter's birthday party from Mr. Thompson arrived, and I resigned myself to the fact that I couldn't decline. The invitation had the name of his daughter, who would be turning 20 next month. Emily. What kind of person is she? This is tough. I have no idea what to get for a woman I've never met, let alone a president's daughter. As I sat in my living room chair pondering, my sister Julia playfully tapped me on the back. Hey, you're thinking out loud. And you heard that. Haha. It seems I was talking to myself a bit too loudly. As I chuckled awkwardly, Julia, perhaps out of curiosity, sat down next to me to hear more. It's rare to see you struggling with a gift for a girl. Yeah, that's right. I've been invited to a client's daughter's birthday party, but since I've never met her, I have no idea what she likes. In that case, isn't this the perfect opportunity to show off your special talent? Julia's words reminded me of my hobby of making music boxes. I became fascinated with music boxes during a field trip in my junior year of high school to a music box museum. After researching, I found out I could make them myself, and it became my sole hobby. With hand-cranked music boxes, you can play your favorite songs by punching holes in a metal sheet, known as the movement, inside the music box. Come to think of it, Julia is about the same age as Emily. Hey, Julia, can you tell me what kind of songs 20-year-olds like these days? Well, maybe songs from popular dramas or trendy anime soundtracks. Those usually have tracks that everyone knows. Julia played me some songs she downloaded on her phone. For the music box I've been working on, which can change tunes midway, I took quite some time to select and create sheets for 3 songs. The outcome was great. I made the box a special one. I crafted the box and fitted the mechanical parts inside. At a familiar workshop, I used a laser engraving machine to imprint musical stabs and notes on the sides of the box. I even made holes in the round parts of the notes, so the music box's sound would emanate from there. After about 3 weeks, the music box was complete. On the day of the birthday party, I headed to Mr. Thompson's house as mentioned in the invitation. Entering the gate, a beautiful garden came into view. The well-maintained bushes and flower beds were impressive. I exchanged greetings with 2 helpers at the entrance and was led to the living room. The moment I saw the luxurious marble dining table in the spacious living room, easily over 40 square meters, I felt a bit intimidated. The guests were all dressed in elegant, high-end suits and dresses, easy to spot. Shane and I felt quite out of place. All I wanted was to give the gift and leave as soon as possible. While I was thinking this, the party started, and Mr. Thompson stood in a prominent spot in the room to begin his greeting. Thank you all for gathering here today to celebrate my youngest daughter Emily's birthday. Amidst the applause, Kevin raised his glass. Let's toast to Emily's 20th birthday. Next to Mr. Thompson, a beautiful woman with long black hair reaching down her back bowed gracefully. She must be his daughter. After some greetings, the guests began presenting their birthday gifts to Emily. There were exquisite bouquets, brand-name bags, and jewelry, all appearing quite luxurious. As I watched in awe, Shane also handed Emily a gift. It looked like a bracelet from a famous brand. After handing it over, Shane noticed me and came over. What did you bring, Keith? Well, my gift isn't something I bought, actually. I make music boxes as a hobby, so I brought a handmade music box for today's gift. Showing him the paper bag with the music box, Shane snatched it up. You're being incredibly rude. A cheap, handmade music box as a gift for the president's daughter. What were you thinking? Apologize to Emily. Go buy a proper gift right now. Stunned by his sudden outburst, I couldn't respond as Shane yelled at me. I hadn't expected to be scolded at the party, but maybe giving a handmade music box to a woman I was meeting for the first time was indeed impolite. Speechless and ashamed, I could only stand there, head down. The living room fell silent, a tense atmosphere hanging in the air. Then Emily approached us. Excuse me, is that paper bag for me as a birthday present? Could you please give it to me? I want to cherish the feelings of everyone who gave me a gift. Hearing this, Shane hesitantly handed over the paper bag he had taken from me to Emily. She received it and turned towards me with a bright smile. Thank you so much. I've never received a handmade music box before. I'm delighted. May I open it? Yes, please do. I managed to answer nervously, and Emily, still smiling, took the music box out of the paper bag. Wow, is this handmade? It's incredibly beautiful. She was fascinated by the music box and picked up the sheet music included. This is amazing. How does it work? Well, you open this part and set the sheet inside, then close the lid and turn the handle. Feeling a bit happy, I walked past Shane to explain how the music box works to Emily. As the handle turned, a gentle metallic sound filled the room. The previously tense atmosphere in the living room seemed to warm up a bit. That's incredible. I love this song. It sounds so beautiful. After the song finished playing, Emily said this with joy and even clapped her hands. Her applause quickly spread throughout the room. Emily seems to like the music box gift the most, said Mr. Thompson, who came over, smiling at Emily and then turning to me with kind words. Keith, seeing my daughter so innocently happy like this, I wonder how many years it's been. Thank you for such a wonderful gift. While making this music box, you must have thought of Emily, whom you've never met, and put your heart into it. Emily seemed to truly enjoy it, playing each of the 3 music sheets I had included, changing them one by one, and happily turning the handle. I'm really glad you liked it. As I said this, Shane muttered behind me. I went out of my way to buy a $300 bracelet, only to be outdone by such a cheap-looking gift. How embarrassing. Suddenly, Emily's expression turned displeased, and she walked briskly over to Shane. What's your name, please? Shane. Shane, thank you for the bracelet, but I'm sorry that what I like is a cheap-looking music box. This music box has just become my treasure, and you're belittling my treasure as cheap-looking. Confronted by Emily's forceful gaze, Shane was completely taken aback. No, I didn't mean that. I'm terribly sorry. After bowing deeply, seemingly too embarrassed to stay, Shane hastily left the room and didn't return to the party. Then came Monday, the start of a new week. I had a meeting scheduled at Thompson Foods, so I tried to involve Shane. I'm good. I'll leave it to you, Shane said with a wry smile, and since then, he avoided any involvement with Thompson Foods. As for me, Emily had approached me on my way out of the birthday party. I'd like to learn how to make music sheets myself. Would you mind teaching me? Emily really seemed to like the music box. I couldn't decline such a delightful request, so now I spend every weekend at Mr. Thompson's house teaching her how to make music sheets. Emily is quick to learn and eager, making teaching her a rewarding experience. Once she learns to make the music sheets herself, she wants to try making the box part too, so I plan to continue being her music box tutor for a while. I wonder what kind of melody she will create and how her beautiful smile will look when she completes her own music box. I'm really looking forward to it. But on the other hand, I can't help feeling a little sad that once Emily learns to make music boxes on her own, we may not spend as much time together. I want to see her smile more. But like a music box that eventually comes to an end, I know these happy times are finite. I decide not to think too much about it and do my best in what I can. With this in mind, I visit Mr. Thompson's house as usual, where, unusually, he is relaxing on the living room sofa, listening to the sounds of the music box coming from Emily's room. It's a beautiful sound. I'd like to learn how to make it myself if I had the time. Emily seems to have taken a real liking to you, Mr. Thompson said. I'm honored, I replied nervously, and he continued. Thank you for a birthday gift that surpasses even a $10,000 purse or jewelry. I want to express my gratitude again. It's a joy for me, and my wife is thrilled too, to see Emily so engrossed in something. How about joining us for dinner at our house sometime? As I stood there, stunned by the invitation, Emily came downstairs from her room. Thank you, Dad. I've always wanted to properly thank him for teaching me. Seemingly having overheard our conversation, Emily joined in, trying to seal the promise. Don't mention it. Consider it my fee for being a music box tutor. There's still so much I want to learn, and it's going to be a long-term commitment, right, teacher? Seeing Emily's mischievous smile, there was no way I could decline the invitation. And just like that, I found myself with a standing invitation to Mr. Thompson's house, not just for teaching music boxes. Absolutely. His daughter has a thing for you, big bro. Show me your picture next time, my sister Julia said with a grin when I told her at home. She's the daughter of a president, and a client at that. So what? Go for it, catch a big break. I want a beautiful sister-in-law, she teased. The word marrying up reminded me of something Shane had said. By the way, when I mentioned that I have a sister, Emily said she'd like to meet you. As I said this with a sigh, Julia's eyes lit up. I'd love to meet her too. Plus, it's a perfect chance to find out what movies and places she likes, right? Come on, you like Emily, don't you? Well, yeah, but our social statuses are worlds apart. Don't be so defeatist. If she loves your handmade music boxes that much, I don't see any problem. After that, we plan to go see a movie together, the three of us. Emily really took a liking to my sister Julia, even inviting her to visit her home anytime. Furthermore, going to the movies with Julia led to me being able to spend time alone with Emily on weekends. Despite the usual nerves, we found out we had a lot in common, like our taste in music and movies, and we were able to laugh and relax together. Maybe one day, I might muster the courage to confess and start dating her. I secretly entertained the thought that such a day might not just be a dream. Ugh, another blank again. I grumbled, stuffing the crumpled losing lottery ticket into my pocket as I waited for the light to turn green. My name is Jack, I'm 30 years old. Living alone quietly in a small apartment. A brisk wind made me involuntarily shrug my shoulders from the cold. Then, right in front of me, a sleek black luxury car pulled up with a slight brake sound. Nice car. As I was thinking this, the window quietly opened and a beautiful woman showed her face. Well, she's incredibly beautiful. I'd never get involved with someone like her in a lifetime. Thinking this, our eyes met unexpectedly. Feeling awkward, I looked away, but the luxury car came to a complete stop, and a woman in a suit got out. She stepped out, heels clicking, wearing a crisp white suit that screamed heiress. As she walked, heels clicking, she looked at me and approached. Then, "Excuse me, you're Jack, right?" "Yes, that's me, but who are you?" "I'm sorry to be so sudden. I'm Lisa Brown." Saying this, she handed me a business card with a company name I didn't recognize and a name I didn't know, Lisa Brown. In my panic, she said, "I'm sorry to be abrupt, but could you listen to my story?" "No way. A beautiful woman like her wants to talk to me. Could this be some kind of reverse pickup?" No. That's impossible. It must be a scam or some kind of solicitation. "I'm in a hurry, excuse me," I said, making sure not to make eye contact and running across the blinking walk signal. Glancing back, the woman was still staring at me intently. It's been 3 days since that strange encounter, but her expression is still stuck in my mind. It's bothering me. I can't help but be curious. I kept looking at her business card, checking the contact details, and calming myself by searching "suddenly being approached" scam on my cell phone. Why am I so concerned? Sure, she's beautiful, but really, it's because of the way she looked at me, like she wanted to say something. I shake my head vigorously, trying to erase the memory. Ever since I ran away from my father, I've maintained a peaceful life, but now I feel like a storm is brewing. Ding dong, ding dong. The doorbell rings in the middle of a weekday. I was off work, sleeping in, and the sound woke me up, leaving me in a bad mood. Yes, it's me, Lisa. I freeze. Lisa is the name of the beautiful woman who gave me her card. How does she know where I live? My heart starts racing, and I break out in a cold sweat. I open the door, and she starts talking without waiting. "Sorry to be sudden. Do you know Emily Thomas?" That's the name of my mother." "Yes, actually, she's my mother too." "What?" "I have something important to tell you about our mother." "Please leave." I don't want to hear anything about that person. Please, just leave without saying anything else." "But it's important." "Just go, please." "How did you even find this house? I could report you to the police, you know." "Well, if you leave now without saying anything, I'll let it go. Don't ever come back here, please, just leave. I'm sorry for disturbing you. I'll leave for today. The click-clack of heels echoed down the apartment hallway, reminiscent of the sound I heard while waiting at the traffic light, fading gradually into the distance. What's going on, really? Back when I was in middle school, I had a mother. But one day, she suddenly disappeared. Without a word, leaving me alone in that house. My father, born as the second son in a wealthy family, had a life of no hardships. He met my mother in college, married her right after graduation, and soon I was born. As a laid-back and easygoing child, I often got scolded by my strict father. You haven't even done your homework yet. Lazy kids will get nowhere, you know. Really, who did you take after? Every time he said that, my mother would fiercely scold him as if she was about to hit him, and then she would hug me. She always protected me. You're a good boy, clever and kind, the pride of your mother. Yet, despite saying that, she disappeared one day. It was in the fall of my second year in middle school. When I got home from school, she was gone. I tried calling my father, but couldn't reach him, and as the outside darkened, I couldn't hold back and ran out of the house. Mom, where did you go, Mom? I kept shouting in my mind, searching all over the neighborhood. Our friends' homes where our families were close, the supermarket where we often shopped, the nearby park she used to take me to when I was little. I went everywhere I could think of, but she was nowhere to be found. My mother wasn't found. Returning home in despair, my father was leisurely drinking coffee in the living room. Where have you been until this late? I understand you're in your rebellious phase, but don't do anything to embarrass me. Hearing his usual words, I felt my blood boil. What are you talking about? Mom's gone. That's why I was looking for her. How can you be so calm? Aren't you worried about Mom? I shouted, grabbing his shirt, only to be brushed off annoyingly. She left this morning. Left? Yes. But that can't be, because Mom, trying to say she cared about you. Maybe not, you were abandoned. Spitting those words, my father left for work. Abandoned. Mom left. I collapsed to my knees. My brain refusing to understand. Mom would never return to this house again. After a while, I understood that much. Sigh. I hadn't thought about this in a long time. It's a memory I want to forget. One I never want to recall again. The misery makes me dizzy. Since that day, Lisa started appearing frequently, as if out of nowhere. No matter how much I watched my surroundings, she'd be near me without my noticing and start talking. I'm sorry for scaring you. Please, listen to what I have to say. Would you meet our mother, please? These 4 sentences were what she'd invariably say when she saw me. Each time, I felt like I was running away. It's too much to suddenly be asked to meet a parent who abandoned me. And frankly, I don't even want to. I had finally escaped from my overbearing father. Honestly, I wanted to forget about both of my parents. Moreover, Lisa is a president's daughter. I had no desire to meet a mother who left me for a better life. Eventually, she would understand that I didn't want to meet our mother and give up. It was a waiting game. As I thought this, the moment finally came. Ding dong. On a weekday afternoon when I was off work, the doorbell rang and I heard Lisa's voice outside. I promise this will be the last time. Please, listen to me. What does she mean by the last time? I listened to her voice. I've written a letter. Everything I want to say to you is in it. Please read it. I'm sorry for chasing after you all this time. I heard the clack of a letter being dropped into the post box, followed by her retreating footsteps. A letter. I opened the post box to find a pristine white envelope. Inside were 7 sheets of paper. I began reading the first one. Dear Jack, I apologize for pursuing you without considering your feelings. Time is running out for our mother, and I will be spending more time at the hospital. I've written down everything I want to tell you in this letter. What? Time running out. Going to the hospital. I felt increasingly agitated, reading the letter intently. After finishing, I found myself running, letter clutched in hand. Please let me be in time. I raced to a certain place, praying. The truth is, our mother is suffering from a severe illness. She doesn't have much time left. I knew I had a step-brother. Mother would talk about you, her beloved son, with such a peaceful expression. As I grew older, I wondered why she had to leave her dear son. One day, she finally told me, your father, who was having an affair, accused her of infidelity. Despite her protests, nobody believed her. The false story spread to neighbors and relatives, and with no place to go, she left, worrying it might affect you negatively. She fought for custody, but was denied, being labeled an adulteress with no income. She left you in that house, unable to prove her innocence. Years later, she met my father. I was about to finish high school, and I was delighted to have a mother. I love her dearly, so I wanted to fulfill her greatest wish and came to see you. Jack, would you please grant me this selfish request? Will you meet our mother one last time? Arriving at the hospital, breathless, I completed the visitation procedures. What am I going to do when I meet her? What should I talk about? I had no idea, but the word last compelled me to come. I knocked on the door of my mother's private room, and a voice said, "Come in." Opening the door, Lisa looked at me, surprised. Beside her, on the bed, lay a thin, elderly woman connected to tubes. It had been years since I saw my mother, but somehow, I knew this woman was her. Mom. I had only meant to call her softly, but at the sound of my voice, my mother opened her eyes. Isn't that you, Jack? You recognize me. I'm already over 30. Of course I do. You're my son, Jack. You've grown up so much, but this is strange. Is this a dream? Has my time come so soon? No, it's not a dream. I'm really here. I came to see you. As I said this and took her hand, she grasped it back repeatedly, saying, "Ah, it's true, with joy." Lisa, unable to hold back her tears, covered her mouth and left the room. Until just now, I had been wondering what to say. But surprisingly, the words came out smoothly. I told her about how I started enjoying studying after she left, how cooking has become a part of my life, and various other things. Mom listened silently, smiling occasionally. You've become a fine adult. I'm sorry I couldn't be there to see your life unfold, she said as she burst into tears. Why didn't you come back for me? She looked surprised and gently stroked my cheek. I did come back. After leaving, I tried several times to see you, but your father's family turned me away. Even so, I couldn't give up and waited near your house, hoping to see you. I didn't know that. I couldn't bring myself to speak to you. I saw you coming home, laughing and happy with your friends. I thought, if Jack has a life without me, if he's happy and healthy, then that's enough for me. So, I left without saying anything. I had no idea. Later, I remarried a good man, my current husband, and had a lovely daughter, Lisa. But perhaps it was karma. I got sick. I've been nothing but a burden to my children. That's not fair. You left me alone. I'm sorry. I never forgave you because I wanted to be with you. What? Dad was so strict. Every day was hard. He didn't care about me, only my achievements. I waited in that house, always hoping you'd come back for me. I didn't know. I'm so sorry. My leaving caused you so much pain. But I want to forgive it all today. I'm really happy we could meet again like this, Mom. I grasped my mother's trembling little finger. Let's make peace. Thank you for thinking of me. That alone makes my life until today feel worthwhile. I feel saved. Through tearful eyes, I managed to show my best smile. Jess, thank you. It makes me so happy to hear you say that. I'm blessed. With Jack, I wish we could have spent days talking, arguing, laughing more, saying goodbye and welcome back, good morning and good night, watching you grow up every day. But I'm glad we could meet like this. Seeing the smile of my grown-up son makes me truly blessed. Under the clear sky, I watched the smoke rise to the heavens. My mother continued to fight her illness. She tried her best, hoping to go out with me and Lisa once she got better. In her last few months, I tried to visit her hospital room every day. We talked a lot and created many memories. Jack, thank you for indulging my selfishness and fulfilling my mother's last wish. Thank you too. I'm glad I could see Mom one last time. Actually, approaching you at the traffic light wasn't a coincidence. I found you based on the information my mother had, with the help of a private detective. I'm sorry for being sneaky about it. That's okay. I'm really happy about it. I'm grateful that you came to me, clearing up the misunderstandings about Mom and revealing the truth. With these memories, I can now look forward and walk ahead. Someday, I think I'll also face my father. I won't run away from my life anymore, the life my mother gave me. She'll be happy for you. Lisa gave the biggest smile I had seen since we met. My name is John. I've always been shy around people and didn't have many friends. With my average appearance and no talent in sports, I was practically invisible in the classroom. Girls used to call me Donkey and made fun of me. But there was one thing I was good at. That is studying. Since I wasn't good at socializing and never went out, I would spend all my time at home studying at my desk. I love studying in silence, all by myself. Thanks to that, I got into one of the top all-boys high schools in the state and kept my grades in the top 10 during my time there. I smoothly got into a well-known state university. Having spent all my time studying, I did start to feel like I wanted to have some fun too. To break away from my dull life, I decided to get a makeover. Following tips from magazine articles on how to be a popular guy, I dyed my hair color and paid more attention to my clothes to create a more modern look. However, lacking communication skills, I still couldn't fit in at university and ended up leading a dull college life, just like in high school. But I never slacked off in my studies. Being a serious person, I attended all my classes, which made me quite popular with the professors. To ensure I wouldn't struggle with job hunting, I had already been asking professors for recommendations to good companies. Thanks to this, I landed a job offer from a major food manufacturer. My parents were thrilled about my job placement. The salary was decent, so I moved out of my small apartment and rented a slightly bigger one. I hoped that as a working adult, I'd make good friends, go out for drinks, and lead a fun life. Maybe I'd even meet a cute lady there. That was my naive hope. But reality isn't always that kind. Even after becoming a professional, my life remained dull. The job wasn't particularly fun, but not boring either. There were many colleagues who joined the company at the same time as me, but they were outgoing and had great communication skills. They are complete opposite of me. I didn't fit in and couldn't get close to them. I became more withdrawn and naturally had no luck in love, continually updating my record of age equals years without a girlfriend. Eventually, I resigned myself to a life of just going between home and work. In a way, it was a peaceful life. But then, at 30, I was suddenly transferred to the sales department, starting a hellish daily routine. I had always worked in the product department, mainly handling orders. The work was mostly solitary, and I only occasionally talked to suppliers. It was the perfect department for someone not good at communication. This sudden move to sales was a shock to me and probably to my colleagues as well. I guess they were short-staffed. But still, it was clear to everyone that I was the wrong choice for this department. The sales department was full of bright, communicative employees, and I couldn't fit in or adapt to the work. The workload was enormous, from client development, negotiations, and creating proposals, quotes, etc. I had to do it all. I was not a good talker in the first place, so it was causing me considerable difficulty to get one contract. My sales performance remained at the bottom. I was constantly pushed to do menial tasks by my boss and colleagues. I didn't want to do these tasks, but with comments like, "Still at the bottom this month, you're not contributing much, so you should at least do this," I couldn't refuse. It was clear they looked down on me. Female employees said things like, "I definitely wouldn't want to marry a guy as dull as John." While my colleagues slowly got promotions and advanced, I remained a mere employee. Just the typical single, uninteresting guy you find in every company. Oh well, I guess I'll just keep falling behind the younger folks and be left out. Well, it's fine, I guess. After lunch break that day, my boss, Tom, suddenly called me in to ask for a favor. "Ken, one of our employees, made a promise to a client that he can't keep. We won't be able to meet the delivery deadline. It's too late to tell the client that now. They really need it by that date." The mistake Ken made was big enough to risk losing the client. Ken is the son of the department head. What if he gets fired over this? But you, being new to the department, might be let off with a warning. They'll probably just transfer you. You don't have a family, so a little pay cut wouldn't hurt. So please, can you take the fall for this? I intended to refuse and argued back. But Tom got angry and yelled, "Don't you realize you're a burden? Why don't you show some results?" Hearing those words, I felt something inside me break. I didn't want to be there anymore. I wanted to leave this company right away. Tears started to flow naturally. I guess I had reached my limit. Later, the executive Max called me in and said, "If you have no motivation, you might as well quit." I just replied, "Yes." It felt like Tom had forced me into resigning. Exhausted, I found myself calling my mom. She said, "Oh dear, you've had a tough time. Good job hanging in there. Why don't you come back home and rest for a while?" So, I went back to live with my mom. I had left this town because I disliked the countryside, but Mom knew that and didn't stop me when I wanted to move to the city. Our family ran a small deli. When I got home, my mom greeted me with a kind smile, saying, "Welcome back," and offered me some special chicken wings she had made for the shop. I teared up eating her cooking after so long. "Tommy," she said, "you don't have to push yourself anymore." Maybe it was the stress from the unfamiliar job, but I wasn't feeling well, so I rested at home for a while. Eventually, I started helping out with the deli. The customers were nice, praising my mom's dishes as exquisitely comforting. I felt much more at peace in this environment. About a year after returning home, I noticed a woman at the bus stop while coming back from shopping. It started raining suddenly, and she looked troubled, checking the bus schedule. Approaching her, I asked, "Is something wrong?" I wouldn't normally talk to a stranger, but I couldn't ignore her that day. "The bus is late," she said. Checking the schedule, I saw that the bus should have arrived 30 minutes ago. "It must be running late." "What a delay," I said. The rain was getting heavier, and there were no stores nearby to buy an umbrella. The bus showed no signs of coming anytime soon. "If we stay out here, we'll be completely drenched. Would you like to come to my place for a while? My mom's there, so it won't just be the two of us." "Don't worry, it's a walking distance from here," I suggested. Initially hesitant, she finally agreed as the rain worsened, saying, "Thank you, I'll take you up on that offer." That day turned out to be a major downpour, flooding roads and causing significant damage. She couldn't go back home for a while. My mom warmly welcomed this stranger into our home. Seeing my mom's friendly nature, the woman seemed relieved. Her name was Ava. She was 33 years younger than me. Her father ran a bridal company, and she worked there too. She came to our town to inspect a new wedding venue. I hadn't noticed it outside, but Ava was very beautiful. Yet, there was a hint of sadness in her demeanor. I wondered if she had any big worries. Ava was very delicate. Her face looked a bit worn out. My mom served her our proudly made deli dishes. "We only have this, but please have them if you'd like." "Thank you." She thanked us in a soft voice, and when she tasted the food, Ava said, "I've never had something this delicious," and her face lit up with a smile. Seeing Ava smile for the first time made me feel a little excited. I hadn't really talked to women before, but I felt like maybe I could get along with Ava. When I gathered the courage to talk to her, she responded kindly, even to someone like me. It turned out she was under a lot of pressure at work. Ava was the daughter of the company president, which made her stand out at the office. However, some colleagues resented her, always challenging her. She tried to work sincerely, but there were many who badmouthed her, saying she was arrogant just because she was the president's daughter. Ava worked hard to gain their recognition, but it seemed like she pushed herself too much. Oh dear, that must have been tough. It's important to relax sometimes. Life is long. You can relax here. I think you've done a great job, my mom said. Thank you. It's nice to be praised. It's been a while, Ava replied with a beaming smile. In the end, Ava stayed at our house for about a week. She happened to be on vacation, so the timing worked out well. She got along well with my mom, chatting and even helping out at the deli. For me, it was a fulfilling time. Ava seemed brighter than when she arrived. As she was leaving, my mom joked, "If you're tired, you're welcome to come back for more girl talk." Ava replied with a smile, "Then I might just take you up on that." I said, "Please take care of yourself and don't push too hard." Ava then boarded the bus. I thought this might be the last time I would see her. Feeling that, I couldn't help but feel a little sad. Life continued as usual, helping out at the family deli. Then, one day, an invitation to a wedding arrived at our home. It was from Troy, a classmate from middle school. I remember talking to him at the supermarket recently, where he mentioned, "I'm getting married. You should come to the wedding. Meeting here must be fate." Honestly, I never liked Troy much. He used to mock me for being a bookworm during our school days. I thought about making up an excuse to skip it, but then Troy called. "You must be free, so you better come to the wedding." Yeah. Unable to refuse, I ended up agreeing to attend. And then came the day of the wedding. At the venue, there were many classmates. Most of them didn't seem to recognize me. They whispered and looked my way. Then Troy approached, recognized me, and called out, "Hey, there you are, Donkey." At the mention of my nickname Donkey, my classmates realized who I was. One of them asked, "What are you doing now?" Before I could answer, Troy mocked. He was good in school, but now he's just selling deli with his mom. How the mighty have fallen. Seriously, even with a good college degree, running a deli, you'll probably stay single forever. The others chimed in with their own harsh words. I just forced a smile, knowing it was true. Suddenly, everyone's gaze shifted behind me. "Don't mock my boyfriend, please." To my surprise, Ava, dressed in a suit, stood behind me. "Do you guys not feel ashamed talking like that as adults? John, you don't need to be here. Let's go," she said. Ava pulled me by the hand and led me out of the venue. Once outside, she looked startled and said, "I'm sorry if I did too much, but I just couldn't stand seeing you being made fun of." "No, don't worry about it. I'm actually glad. But why are you here?" It turned out this venue was one of the ones her father managed, and she was there for work. "Would you like to have dinner with me after I finish work?" she offered. I immediately said of course. I was thrilled to see her again, never expecting our paths to cross. We didn't return to the wedding but went to dinner together instead. "I was actually hoping to see you again, but meeting here at the wedding venue, maybe it's fate." To her joking tone, I replied seriously. "Maybe it is fate. Maybe we both wanted to see each other, and fate brought us together." At the time, such words came out easily, which was unusual. Ava blushed and asked, "John, did you really want to see me too?" I decided to be honest about my feelings. I told her how I felt something special for her, unlike anyone else, and that I'd been thinking about her ever since. "I've been thinking about you too. When you praised me for my hard work, it really lifted my spirits. Your words are so warm. I think I like you, John." Blushing, she shared her feelings. From then on, we started a long-distance relationship. Soon after, Ava was assigned to work primarily at the venue we had visited, and it was decided she would move to this area. This led us to start living together, even though we hadn't been dating for very long. Realizing I shouldn't rely on her alone, I found a job at a local company and returned to the workforce. Today, I'm at my mom's house, watching her and my girlfriend chatting happily. Seeing their smiles fills me with happiness. For the first time in my life, I have a girlfriend and a supportive mother. I want to work hard for them and walk this path of life together.